Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new TV show series review here on Max Talks Movies. And today I'm breaking down episode 1 of season 2 of the Disney Plus MCU show, Loki. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell and subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 170 subscribers. I do movie reviews, these types of TV show reviews, movie rankings, and breaking down box office numbers. So please subscribe, ring the bell if you're new to the channel. Comment in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts on Loki season 2, episode 1? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Was Loki season 1 your favorite MCU show? Love to hear all your thoughts. I love having these fun discussions with you guys in the comment section. So please comment down below. I'll definitely respond. And also please like the video, guys. It really helps support the channel, helps the YouTube algorithm out. So the more you guys like these videos here moving forward, the more I'll get seen here on YouTube. So please subscribe, ring the bell, like, and comment. So if you're new to the channel, I've 2 years ago when Loki season 1 came out, I did do breakdowns each and every week of those 6 episodes of Loki. I'll leave a little link for that at the end of this video for the season finale of season 1. I was very excited for season 2. For me, Loki is my second favorite MCU show, right behind WandaVision. And Loki and WandaVision have been my 2 favorite experiences watching an MCU show. Just for its uniqueness, its freshness, its originality that I think the MCU was missing. And I know a lot of people were nervous heading into season 2 because this is still a different creative team. Now, while yes, Michael Waldron is still credited as the creator of the show, he did not physically, but he did not write this episode. He just created the show. So Eric Martin has the directing duties, and obviously now Kay Herron, who directed and was one of the main parts of the creative team of season 1, is now not a part of the show here in season 2. So there are a lot of things up in the air, but I just want to get into, I am going to break down this episode, but I'm not going to go scene for scene. I think a lot of other videos can do a better job than me in breaking down things. I'm here because I want to give my general thoughts, because I just love talking shows and movies so much. So I thoroughly really did love this episode of Loki, season 2, episode 1. It was gripping. It was intense. It was fast-paced. It was dramatic. It was comedic. I just had a blast being back in the world of Loki and the TVA. So basically, at the end of season 1, obviously Loki and Sylvie meet. Jonathan Majors, we got to see Jonathan Majors for the first time playing one of the variants of Kang. Correction, I want to say this right before I move on. He Who Remains, who basically tells him that you can kill me or let me continue to run things. Obviously, Sylvie kills He Who Remains, and that has set up for a chaos of this show here moving forward, as Loki got kicked back by Sylvie into a different world, and we realized that we got back to the past with Loki. Loki got put in the past where Mobius did not know who he is, B-15 did not know who he was. So that's where we ended season 1. So we get here on the opening shot is this Kang statue in the middle of wherever the TVA are, and Loki is running from Mobius and B-15 and all these things. And the reason why I really like this episode is that Loki felt the most vulnerable and scared since he's been in the MCU. Now, yes, he was obviously scared when Hulk slashed him all over the place, slammed him all over the place in the first Avengers movie, but this is pure vulnerability here. He feels, which I thought was the best part of the episode from a writing perspective, was Loki met He Who Remains, and He Who Remains probably was right. And the fact that, and we'll get to that scene where Mobius calls him the last man standing. So Loki's running away, and he begins to time slip, which is pretty disgusting visual. But Loki is basically in the TVA, jumping from the past, the present, and we also, towards the end of the episode, the future. And I think they did a really good job at, first of all, making sure that people understand where Loki is in the time frame. I didn't feel like it was confusing at all. It was a very innovative way to explain time travel and stuff like that. Because it wasn't through space, it was through time. And I really enjoyed that a lot. So Loki's going back and forth. He finally, before all of this, Mobius and 100 have a great conversation where basically 100 we got to tell everyone that everyone has to be we have to stop pruning people because everyone has a their identity, their person is living somewhere on the sacred timeline. And Mobius is like, really, you're going to tell all these people that what they've been living their whole lives is lives and they're actual persons living on the sacred timeline? And it was a really just very fascinating philosophical conversation between Mobius and Hunter B-15. They got into this like kind of judge scene because, again, there's no more Renslayer, at least at the beginning, and we know she's going to be in the show, but no one knows where Renslayer is. No one knows where Miss Minutes is. So that's why a lot of things were breaking down at the TVA. But obviously he remains as dead. So we get this scene where they go into kind of like a court type scene. There's like one judge and these two people going at it. We also saw the debut of Rafael Casal in the show as Hunter X5, who we know will be playing a very important character from the comics moving forward. I don't want to spoil that, but he'll be playing an important character in the comics moving forward as well. Character that he will be on in the Sacred Timeline. And they just have this philosophical discussion about 150 saying we got to stop pruning people. And the idea of a lot of lives are going to be lost, which is the point of the He Who Remains kind of question to Sylvie and Loki, is that a lot of people are going to be pruned, a lot of people's lives are going to be ruined, but you have to make the choice that limits it. Yes, tons and millions, maybe billions of lives are going to be lost, but one kills and prunes more people than the other. And that's what this show started to debate. So now Loki kind of pops up for the first time and has this conversation with Mobius. And Mobius is like, before we get into all of that, and also the big conundrum was that we saw Loki go back in the past where he was in that same judge room where Mobius and B-15 were. He hears a recording and we hear Kang talking with Ravonna Renslayer, who we know are definitely a duo in the comics. And it was very much hinted at in season 1 of Loki that Renslayer was working with Kang, but we see basically that Kang must have had this relationship, had this duo with Renslayer, but must have put her down in the order because she does not does not know who He Who Remains is, and is a judge in the TVA. So she obviously got knelt down in the pecking order for some reason, which I hope they do explain in the show. But Loki sees that there's this mural of Kang's in that room in the past, and then we go to the present, there's like a painted over mural of it. Loki prunes that fake mural, and then you see the Kang, and he's right. But Mobius, he's like, you got to stop, we got to fix one thing at a time. And the first thing is that you're time slipping. We have to, he doesn't know what even time slipping is. So Mobius like, we got to go down, and we get the debut, and we get really good comedy scenes with Mobius and Loki talking about what it actually looks like of him, what he's doing. And Mobius like, it does look like someone's being born and getting killed at the same time. It was really funny. This episode felt very Wes Anderson like direction. Now, yes, it helps that Owen Wilson is on it, who is a very frequent collaborator with Wes Anderson. But the sets, the colors, the way the shots are in frame where the characters are like me centered to the camera, and the quippiness and the quick line delivery, it felt very like we're in a Wes Anderson MCU episode, which I was all for, because as you know, if you're new to the channel, I'm definitely a big Wes Anderson fan. So that totally worked for me. But we get the debut of Ki-Hu Kwan as OB, who I'm just overall, before we get to the character, it is just such an amazing story. Again, he was Short Round in Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. He was Goonies. And obviously, if you know the story, he went away for a long time, wasn't getting any jobs. And then he won an Oscar last year for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And he said in an interview that the day that Everything Everywhere All at Once came out, Feige saw the movie and called Kwan that day to offer him a role in the MCU. And obviously, this was the role. And he is fabulous. And he is not another comedic presence like Owen Wilson. They all have this trio, has a fantastic dynamic. And we get the best scene of the episode where Loki is time slipping and he's going to the past to talk to OB from hundreds of years ago. And as he's talking to OB in the past, OB in the present talking to Mobius is remembering the conversation as it's happening in the past. It was a great back and forth scene. The editing was fantastic. The acting from all three guys are excellent. And it was fast paced. It was funny, but it also made tons of sense for the story. So we get to the point of where Loki, basically, they need to prune Loki. At the same time, Mobius basically has to go out, do this thing, and pull Loki so he can stop time slipping and stay in this time. And it's a tough thing. Loki, before he's about to gonna go do this, he time slips. And there's a good joke about, all the skin coming off of Mobius, and he writes skin on the thing before he comes out. And we see that Loki then goes into the future, and he finally sees Sylvie, someone that he's desperately wanted to see. Tom Hiddleston is so amazing in the show, and this might have been his best performance as the character in this episode. He brings such a innocence, vulnerability to the character this episode, which you just have. This guy is a god, okay? He is a god, and he feels like He Who Remains right. And even before this, my favorite dialogue of the episode was when he was talking about He Who Remains to Mobius, and Mobius is like, why is he just being so arrogant, bragging that he's the last man standing? And Loki says he can call himself that because he can back it up. And that's when Mobius says that's terrifying. And I thought that was a perfect way to encapsulate that someone like Loki, a god, is so afraid of what these Kang variants will be. The variants of He Who Remains will bring on so much war and so much destruction. And he knows that the He Who Remains was correct. And that scares Loki. And I thought that was a perfect way to really, without having Kang in the episode, it was a perfect way of building him up as well. So he gets pruned to the past, to the future. He sees Sylvie. Sylvie is like happy to see him in the future, which really brings something really, Loki cries. It's really emotional. Like Loki gets pruned. He gets saved, and him and Mobius. And then the first thing Loki says to Mobius when they get back is Loki's like, we have to find Sylvie. And then we cut to the end of the episode, which is where B-15 sees all of these troopers clearly just going out trying to prune people because they were against B-15 and they want to start pruning people to clear the timeline. And they also want to find Sylvie as well. You'll get a mid-credit scene, which based on what the critics have said, this is the only mid-credit scene in at least the first 4 episodes of the season. She arrives in Broxton, Oklahoma, which is a big deal in the comics. And she goes to 1982 to McDonald's, and it's a really comedic scene, but Sylvie finally is in her happy place. She's not running for her life in this moment. The comfort of 1980s McDonald's brought something positive to her, and that's where we end the episode. It was a near perfect episode for me of Loki. The addition of Ke Huy Quan was perfect, and I cannot wait to see more of him on the show. Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston are still the dynamic duo, and they are fantastic together, their chemistry. And Loki has so much character and personal growth, where at the beginning of the show, obviously this is the Loki from the first Avengers movie, hated people, all self-centered, but now he truly has a friend in Mobius, and he has someone he really loves in Sylvie, but he also knows that everything is at stake, and he cares about the people who have been pruned. It's fascinating to watch this show. I'm so excited for more Loki. I'll be back here every Friday with more Loki reviews. I'll see you guys.